I'm live. Hello, internet world. Live is a good thing. It shows I'm still extant among this beautiful world. I actually stepped outside today. So I will go through my live chant. The internet YouTube taught me that. It says go live. So I'm live. I'm alive. And let's hope we all stay that way for a while at least. So I'm here as a test to see whether I'm looking at your eyes, whether we're connecting, so I'm not just looking down like that, or suspicious. Like Officer Anderson, who many say was scripted because he looked to the side, because he was in his car, because he was a plant. Not a green plant, mind you, but a blue plant. The worst kind of plant of them all, because that would mean it's representing a blue line flag, which does have some very negative ramifications. And even though some say, well, that's reserved for officers at funerals in the line of combat, generally I see the officers' caskets covered with an American flag. Americans, you're not a paramilitary force, even though you might think so in your own mind, because the militia will take care of that real quickly if you don't watch your step. It's not a threat. It's a constitutional promise. Nothing new. Let's hope it never happens. And that the Second Amendment is only there as a reminder to stop stifling cameras. They're not going away. The intrepid auditors, pretty much all of them are really frustrated with you. As probably I would hope many of you were with yourself. I can accept every group wanting to maintain some of its own power structure, but not when it treads over that area of tyranny, which you do constantly. It's not entirely your fault. You're trained that way. You come in expecting certain privileges, which you're entitled to. The people through the government have given you these loaned temporary privileges to protect the citizens, the people's civil rights, not to step on them, not to circumvent them, not to stonewall them, not to withhold what rights they have for your own purposes other than protecting liberty and civil rights, not to get bonuses or to fill quotas or to have stories to tell to your peers when you get back to the PD. I imagine that some noble police officers, what we used to call peace officers, are thinking in the depths of their hearts it must eat away at them until they too become cruel and desensitized to play along, to protect their pension, their pay, their peers, and their power. The purpose of that power is to protect we, the people, those who walk outside, who don't want to fear asking you questions or to fear we're asking you too many questions. You don't have to answer them, but don't be rude. When someone asks you your name and badge number, please stop saying here and here. I don't care if because it's a corporate or legal straw man protection to separate you, the person. You've already got qualified immunity for that. How many levels of protection of corruption do you want? And yes, I call it corruption every time you're complicit. Every time you look the other way and you don't turn in someone who you would have if they weren't wearing blue. I know it makes it more difficult to raise in the ranks of sergeant or supervisor if you do speak out. But they're clearly, I've seen, generally the higher the ranking, the far more credible they are as far as upholding the law and correcting you. So that can't be the only thing that could hold you back from not speaking out. It would be interesting to find out the percentage of those sergeant and supervisor and above who made that rank along with turning someone in. And we see this in our local newspapers from time to time, how a corrupt police officer and sometimes entire PDs, I know I've seen that in my area, get terminated. Sadly, after a period of time, they seem to be replaced by more cops who have to end up getting terminated. I want those body cameras worn 24/7. If your town if your town cannot afford it, do away with something else. If you're so concerned about potential legal costs, and see whether there's a law of diminishing returns, at what point do the lawsuits against you by not having these cameras make an effect, when the whole purpose is to protect your citizenry. If I've gotten something wrong, and police officers, if one of your prime directives isn't to give safe passage for people through your township and not see them all as criminals and just stop for extortion. I don't want other people paying for you other than your taxpayers' tax dollars. If you get any extortion money, let it go to some benefit fund and not the Police Benefit Benevolent Association, as important as that is for those who truly get hurt and have need, as well as their family and their children. I don't even care if people help you with your mortgages. That's what we do for our vets, but I want you to deserve it. That's not asking for too much. I know most go into it because it's a salary. That's fine. We all take jobs because we have to put bread on the table. But you're a fiduciary who has a gun. And I know that we need aggressive types of type 1 personalities, just like the First Amendment auditors and cop watchers are. Maybe that's why there's so much conflict. Because tough people butt heads, they don't like to give in. But you're the fiduciary. You have to be respectful. Stop editorializing. The cop watchers are testing you. Only you can really make yourself look bad. And it's not been to communicate with us. That makes you look worse and like cowards and fools. Interact with us civilly. And don't assume the worst. A lot of the memos that police departments have been passing around to each other are exaggerated. They're hyperbole. Not all auditors are out just for clickbait to make you look bad. Only you can do that yourself by acting butthurt and doing all your cop-splaining. I'm skilled in my fervor for liberty, as all of you are. Now, for any police officer who has ever rolled their eyes at the mere mention of the Constitution, or a public official, or a young child eating a nasty food for the first time that you haven't even put into your palate, very infantile to look and denigrate the mention of the Constitution or someone who's saying that we are one of the people. You think that's a childish statement? You really think that's a childish statement? That you're too adult? That these are fairy tales? Well, perhaps because you've helped make it that way. We're here to fix it. And if you can't come on board, go find a job in the private industry, because the people aren't going to put up with you much longer. Most public servants do a great job. They do. And be friends with your employees. You can be nice and you can be fair. But once you start crossing that level and have people become your friends you pay dollars for to do you favors, you're heading down a road for failure. And you have to keep the basics with everything you do. For me, back to basics in auditing is ABE, always be educating without alienating whenever possible. Win hearts and minds. We have to help people relearn about liberty and the nuances of the Constitution, as our school systems certainly are not. And that too is our responsibility for getting involved more with PTAs and school systems. Don't just say that one side's already taken it over. Look the other way far too long and need to hold those reins back. No one else is going to do it for you. Who's going to give up power? Would you? Officer Anderson did. So give him some space, will ya? Trust but verify, but don't jump on him just because he was a cop. He served proudly in the military in Iraq. I believe it was either Fallujah or Ramadi. So he honored his oath and is still doing it. He just can't put up with the nonsense anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually entered into the military because of 9/11. I don't know if anyone's asked him. I haven't done the math on it yet. There must be, out of 800,000 law enforcement officers throughout the country, give or take, it's a lot of people. There must be a few who have the same fervor of liberty as we do. Or is that a commodity that's not shared? Or is that a commodity that's not shared with certain people? Or is that a commodity that's restricted from police and law enforcement? I would think we would want to share it with them if they're willing to come aboard. Isn't that part of the point? They're some of our key protagonists. If we can start bringing some of our protagonists aboard, because if there's an Anderson, there must be others. Okay, let's end this stream. I'll do it with a smile. End stream. Be well, everyone. Protect liberty for the sake of our progeny. Every single person out there who loves liberty, I love you. End stream.